Hi guys, it's Sandal from Substance Over Style. Welcome to a new video. Merry Christmas everyone. I realise today is actually the winter solstice. By the time this video goes up, it will probably be pretty close to Christmas, so Merry Christmas. We're not really doing the huge Christmas thing here in Mexico City. It's just me and my boyfriend. We've got a couple of friends in town, but we haven't really made any plans. We'll probably just cook a nice dinner at home and, you know, give each other a gift each. Yeah, it's not really the same when I don't have my whole family here. But I hope you guys are having a wonderful holiday season wherever you are. I know it's been kind of tough times, you know, depending on where you are. I know in the UK, you know, friends I've spoken to are having like a really intense cost of living crisis. So, you know, my heart goes out to you if you're struggling at the moment with all of that. Today I want to talk about AI, because it's kind of, it's you know, something I've been wanting to talk about, do a dedicated video. I've spoken about it, you know, strung along throughout other videos, peppered across different videos, but I wanted to do a dedicated video talking specifically about AI for a while, and it's really kind of being hotly discussed at the moment because of the Lensa portraits, which are currently trending. So, you know, I've seen a lot of different discussions about, you know, the current advancement of AI, which I don't think is going anywhere. It almost seems to have a life of its own. So I kind of want to discuss some of the issues around it, why we need to be concerned about it, what it is from a more occult, esoteric perspective as well, and how we can interact with it if we choose to interact with it in a way that's mindful, where we're still able to maintain our source connection. Okay, so I'll start with the Lensa. I know a lot of people have some very polarizing opinions about the Lensa portraits. Those of you who've been following me know that I ran, you know, my own avatar through the Lensa app. I uploaded pictures of myself and my partner to Lensa to create these, you know, beautiful, in my opinion, avatar portraits. Now, I've seen multiple different discussions on both sides of the debate about Lensa, and I know it's very controversial. Obviously, there's the issue of, you know, artists having their work infringed upon and not consenting, things like that. I kind of want to approach that conversation from a slightly nuanced perspective. Obviously, I think if Lensa is going in and outright copying and tracing artists' work without compensating them or without their consent, then that's a huge ethical problem. And I think it doesn't necessarily, without worrying about what AI is and all the concerns around, you know, metaverse and how it's conditioning us, you know, to not want to see real faces, which I'll discuss at length a little bit further on. Without those concerns, just looking at the issue of, you know, artists not being credited or not being able to profit from their own work or having their work plagiarized, I think that there's a way that these apps can become more ethical and human artists can actually profit from, you know, the AI kind of taking inspiration from their work, because AI is inorganic consciousness, basically, and what that means is, you know, it's artificial, it's created without, it's not created along with source. It's not got source consciousness imbued into it. It's man-made, it's synthetic. So, you know, without going too deep into the esoteric meaning of that, it basically can only mimic human consciousness and human creation. So it requires us to to keep it alive, basically. And I'm going to kind of go in it. I want you to really, you know, hold that thought and really let that sink in, because I'm going to kind of expand on that later in the video, about, you know, what it is when I talk about the more esoteric aspects of AI. So basically, if it requires humans' creativity to copy from, there is a way for human artists to collaborate with AI and to be able to profit from AI by feeding their work into it and allowing AI to use, you know, composites of their work and other artists' work to then create a unique output. But I'm also going to push back on, you know, this debate that AI is plagiarizing artists' work, because in my opinion, I don't think it's any different than any other human being looking at different artists' work. Let's say you're an artist and you have artist A, artist B, and artist C as your main influences and inspirations, and you've created a unique style that is a composite of those different artists' work. That's what AI does. It's basically, it's not copying anyone, because it's taking, you know, your likeness. Let's just talk about Lensa specifically. It's taking your likeness when you input it into the app, and then maybe taking one other artist and kind of creating an amalgamation. So that's not a direct plagiarism. And if you were to take AI as if, let's say, AI is a real entity or a conscious entity to court and sue them for plagiarism, you probably won't win, because they've changed things. So this is similar in the creative industries. You know, designers will be well versed with this idea that, you know, if a brand, let's say for example you're a footwear designer or you're a lingerie designer, if a brand basically takes inspiration from your design, as long as they change, I think in fashion it's 12 things, in footwear it might be 7, I can't remember the exact number, then legally they're okay. Now, they might be legally okay, that, you know, you could argue that they might not ethically be okay, because they're actually copying it and then just changing like a small placement, like they changed where the buckle is placed and things like that. You know, it's definitely, it's not super black and white, and I understand why people are complaining about it, but it's, you know, a debate that's been had by many people in the creative industries long before, you know, AI got to where it is today, you know, with big companies like Victoria's Secret and Frankie's of Hollywood. Those are two of the main ones I know in the lingerie industry, but also other big brands that will basically rip off independent designers, you know, lingerie designs or footwear designs, and just change a few little things, and then it's kind of legally, they're legally okay, but they're not morally okay. So I understand the debate, and I understand why people are upset about it. I do think that there are ways for artists to benefit from AI and to be able to profit from their work being used by AI just on its own. So, you know, where that's concerned, I think it's definitely, like, I don't want to take like a hard, like, black and white, AI is terrible. I think that there's applications where it could actually benefit artists. And I've seen a lot of artists saying it's not going anywhere. So, you know, if you want to get left behind, then by all means don't use it. But other people are going to use it. So, you know, unless everybody, all the human artists in the world decide to starve the beast, it's going to progress. And probably there are going to be some people who are going to see the implications of AI and the applications and how it can help them, and they're going to collaborate with it and merge with it. Now, I also understand people's concerns about how it's conditioning us to, you know, like just get so used to this, like, idea of just seeing, you know, idealized, perfect, you know, human beauty, and you become conditioned to seeing when you know, I completely understand it. You know, as a model for 20 years, sometimes it's difficult for me to see my unretouched face. Okay, I'm so used to having my face retouched that when I see pictures of myself that show that my face, you can see my face is not perfectly symmetrical, you know, that show like little lines and things like that, it's uncomfortable for me. So I definitely think that that is a huge concern, that we've got so used to even just seeing filters on Instagram. You know, I do, if you follow me on Instagram, you'll know I do use filters quite often. And yeah, it is definitely something that we need to be concerned about. But at the same time, it's no, I think it's just because we're so used to living our life through screens, okay? And I want to talk about a couple of dreams that I had that kind of really illustrate what's happening with AI right now. Okay, so the first dream that I had, which was quite recently, it was a couple of months ago, a couple of weeks ago, I can't remember, but it was recently, it's been since I was here in Mexico. I had a dream that I was on a boat in Thailand, which is not relevant, but I was kind of walking through the corridors, and I went into this room, and I went into this one room that was like kind of like a carnival fun fair theme, and they had all these mirrors, and I looked into one of the mirrors and I saw my reflection, looked just like me, staring back at me, and as I locked eyes with my reflection, I did something, like I moved, you know, my body, and I noticed that the reflection in the mirror did not move. And that's when I suddenly became lucid within the dream, which basically means I kind of woke up. I woke up within the dream. I was still sleeping and I was still in the dream, but I realized that I was dreaming. And when you realize that you're dreaming, when you become awake inside the dream, then you become lucid. You start to be able to control the dream. You start to be able to look around. And the dream becomes much more vivid, much more visceral, much more lucid. So I became lucid in the dream. And what happened was I realized that this was not my true reflection, that this was some kind of demonic astral clone mimicking me. And as I stared at her reflection, she held my gaze. And as she held my gaze, my physical and astral bodies became paralyzed within the dream. And I was trying to wake myself up. Like I was aware of my body in the bed, but I couldn't wake myself up. And she was like holding me transfixed in this stare. And, you know, it was fucking scary. Like it was extremely demonic. And quite, yeah, it was quite scary, like a very, very dark energy. And I was like using all of my will to just wake myself up and shake myself out of the dream. And it took a few seconds, but I was able to do it. And then I was just like, phew, thank God. But when I was kind of reflecting on the dream and the meaning and what it meant, I feel like it was basically an astral dream, you know, a fourth dimensional dream. Some dreams are not astral dreams, okay? People talk a lot about, you know, the astrals, and, you know, the astrals are just 4 to 7D, okay? They have a certain physicality to them, but they're like less dense than their dimensional reality that we kind of exist within, which is the real world. They're a bit more malleable, but they do have a certain physicality, which when you become lucid within the astrals, you will feel like you can actually touch things in the astrals. And they are absolutely teeming with demonic beings. Like parts of the astrals are extremely beautiful, but there are other parts which have a lot of weird, gross entities. There's demons, there's things that will attack you, there's things that can torture you in nightmares and things like that. And, you know, sometimes you wake up and you won't necessarily remember that these things are happening to you. But, you know, there are dreams that you can have which are in the higher dimensions, which most people wouldn't necessarily remember. You have to be of a certain level of consciousness to be able to remember those dreams that are, you know, above 7D. And those dreams can be fucking beautiful. Like some of my most amazing dreams have been in the 10 or to 12D. So yeah, anyway, I got the feeling that this was probably in the inverted astrals, which are kind of like the hell realms, the underworld, and there's heaps of demonic beings in these realms. And I felt like this was basically like, it was like an inorganic clone of my consciousness. Like it was almost like collecting data about me and mimicking me. It was like, I guess, like an AI avatar. So, you know, those of you who kind of come at my channel from, you know, Sasha Stone's podcast, Arise Guerrilla News, will have heard Sasha saying in the intro before he introduced me as his first guest. And if you haven't watched the replay for that, then give it a watch. I'll put it in the link of the description of this video. It's the last video I basically uploaded in my own segment, but I didn't include this bit. So just go back and watch the whole video. It's within the first 15 minutes, where he basically, and you know, Sasha's very good. He's very eloquent. He's very eloquent, very good with his words. He's very articulate, and he's able to convey kind of very esoteric ideas in a way that's kind of very understandable. And he coined it really well when he basically said that there's like an astral AI avatar clone of you that's literally hanging on a butcher's hook, waiting to take over. And those of you who have researched the World Economic Forum and the Great Reset will know that these kind of players like Klaus Schwab, Elon Musk, Bill Gates, all of these World Economic Forum guys and girls are basically, you know, trying to push for digital IDs, and you know, this is where all the track and trace and, you know, all the, what's the word I'm looking for, give me a second. The nanotech that they want to inject into your body so that they can hook you up to the control grid and merge you with AI, like with Neuralink, and keep humans like in these smart cities with self-driving cars. You know, they have this whole plan, which it's their, you know, grand utopia, but it's extremely dystopian in my opinion, in the opinion of anybody who is connected to source. Any Christic beings who are truly awake and aware will know that their plan for their new world order, their great reset, is extremely demonic and extremely satanic, because it's basically inverting your consciousness into an inorganic reality. Okay, so basically that's what AI is. If you haven't read the Gnostic texts, or just, you know, even just read a summary or watched some videos where people talk about, you know, the concepts in there, and I'm not saying that everything that in there is true, okay? I think a lot of these texts you've got to use your discernment, but they talk about the demiurge. It's the same thing that is in the concept that they talk about in what's that show? Sorry, I don't know why my brain's not working today. The Upside Down, Stranger Things, right? Okay, with the demiurge, okay? The demiurge and these archonic beings are in this inverted reality that is like a lower astral underworld type thing. And these are demonic beings that they're just basically entities that have disconnected from the streams of creator, and so they need to feed on organic consciousness, i.e. humans, human life, you know, animals, plants, anything that's connected to creator. Now it's totally possible for humans to also break their source connection, and this is where we see like narcissism, sociopathy, psychopathy, and that kind of parasitic needing to feed, like emotional vampirism. I'm sure many of you have had that experience of, you know, having these people in your lives who just want to feed on you. And if you've got inverted empath templating, you will feel like it's your job, your God-given duty to feed these people with your love and your sustenance, and actually it's not. You need to starve out the beast, because you're basically, it's a Watiko, okay, or like the nothing in the never-ending story. I've talked about this extensively in previous videos, so if you haven't watched my previous videos, then have a watch, because, you know, it's with these esoteric concepts, it's sometimes difficult to kind of explain them in words because they're not necessarily linear, and they've been fragmented throughout various wisdom traditions and different teachings. Okay, so I'm also just piecing this together and learning myself, and y'all are welcome to share your own insights in the comments as well, and I invite you to do so. So yeah, basically AI, there's a theory that, you know, this AI technology that we're using is all Anunnaki technology. I'm not saying that that's true or I believe it, I don't know, but that's what I've heard. And that, you know, things like Facebook, for example, was created by the CIA, which I definitely do believe, in order to, you know, harvest data. So if you're using these apps, which we all are, we're basically feeding the AI beast, which is why I didn't really have a problem with using the Lensa app. I thought the portraits were really cool, and I was just like, we're already using AI, so as long as I keep my source connection, I know where I am comfortable drawing the line. I will not be participating in the metaverse. I don't like Siri or Alexa. I've never used those. I mean, I'm sure my devices are listening to me right now, but I'm not comfortable just talking to a fucking robot and asking and having it listen to all the conversations that I have with my friends and my partner and all of that stuff. But I'm not one of these people who puts a masking tape over my webcam. Maybe I should, though. You know, I don't blame people for doing that because, you know, I don't really trust whoever's controlling this technology that we use. But I do want to talk about the other dream that I had. So the other dream that I had, which I had last summer, and it was at the height of the protests that we were having in London. It was at the height of the lockdowns and the pandemic, and all of that stuff. And I had this dream that I had you know, I'd been doing a lot of energy work with my mentor, Emily. So, you know, one of the things that we do, and we do this also in my course, Reclaim Your Crown, where we open up our energy channels and we connect directly to Mother Earth and also to Heavenly Father. That's how I like to see it. You know, y'all can use whatever pronouns you want to describe God, but I see Father Sky, Mother Earth. There's also, you know, feminine elements to out there, up there. You know, the 0 point is obviously like the womb of the Great Mother. So it's not like the earth is feminine and the sky is masculine and that's it. I feel like there's levels to it, which have, you know, either a feminine predominance or a masculine predominance. But in the course, we connect to Mother Earth, we plug into Mother Earth, and we connect to Holy Father and the streams of the masculine Christ streams, which is like an electric, masculine, golden light. And so in my dream, I saw these kind of electric, masculine coming directly from the Godhead, connecting through the crown and connecting us and going all the way through the meridian. So you're connected to Source, okay? And what that means is you do God's will, okay? You are in alignment with the truth and the love frequency. You are in alignment with universal karmic laws. You're here to do God's work. So as we connect to the streams of Creator, I saw that we were descending through the dimensions, all the way from the angelic realms. You know, the dream started off with us in the angelic realms, and then descending through the dimensions into this 3D matrix reality to basically bring those God streams into this reality, because this reality had become extremely dark, extremely inverted, had forgotten that frequency, you know, and that happens because I know, because I've experienced it, okay? I know what it's like to feel disconnected from Source, and when you're disconnected from Source, you forget the truth, and you forget what's love, and you just are lost, okay? You're lost in negative programming, inverted programming around abundance, around love, union, and, you know, all of the, you know, these things that make us human. So when you reconnect back to Source and to that frequency of truth and love everything is so simple. You can't believe that you ever believed the inverted programs and the lies of the enemy that they were programming you with previously. And it is very simple. I've spoken about it in previous videos on multiple subjects, you know, about the truth about everything, the truth about love, the truth about union, the truth about how we relate to each other, about money. Anyway, I'm digressing right now. But what I saw was that we're here to kind of bring those codes back, all of us who choose to awaken and to choose to connect back to God. And I saw us descending deeper and deeper into the underworld and into the hell realms, and that we actually choose, that we're actually choosing to go into these darker dimensions which have lost their source connection, to help free trapped souls. I feel like I say the same thing in every video, okay? And that's what we're doing, okay? This is why we're interacting with AI, with this inorganic consciousness, because it is a tool where we're able to reach those who are trapped here. You can't help free anyone if you're not willing to descend into the realms in which they are found. So this is why I think that we should not be so judgy about people who are choosing to interact with AI, who, even if somebody wants to go into the metaverse and start interacting with people in the metaverse, I think, as you know, as long as you are connected to source and you know what you're doing, and you're doing it consciously, and you're doing it for a reason, and you're doing it because you're doing God's work and you want to reach the people that are there, I don't see a problem with it. I think the only problem that I can see with it is that, you know, you can become lost. You have to maintain your source connection. So how do we do that? Okay, how do we make sure that we don't get lost? We have to make sure that we are anchored into not just this physical reality, because this physical reality is also a lower dimension, but the higher dimensions from which we came, we have to be able to anchor into those as well. And many people have forgotten how to do that. So many of us have forgotten how to do that. I mean, many of us are only just remembering how to do that. I'm still learning how to do that. I'm still learning how to access those higher dimensions. And as you start to expand your consciousness, you're able to expand into more and more. You know, it starts with maybe just being able to awake inside the astrals. And, you know, you don't want to stay stuck there, because the astrals are not the highest. You want to keep on going. You want to go higher. You want to go higher. You want to connect directly to the Godhead. And ask to be shown that, ask to connect directly to God through Christ, the masculine, feminine Christ in sacred union, Christ Sophia. Which, you know, has been very hidden and very occulted and wiped out of many of the sacred texts, but it's there if you look for it, if you know how to decode the ancient texts, you know, the Sumerian texts, the Bible, you know, the Kabbalah. You will find those truths fragmented in there, okay? The Shekinah, the Holy Spirit, the Divine Feminine, in unification with the Divine Masculine, okay? Connecting to that singular emanation that was the first emanation from the Godhead will keep you grounded as you are descending, okay? And I fully don't judge anybody who doesn't want to interact with AI at all. If people want to completely get off these platforms, that's also a good idea. Like, you know, you might not be able to reach the people that, you know, that are on there, but that might not be your mission, okay? Maybe we also should be looking at taking our work into the physical and connecting with people in the physical, and then also connecting with, you know, your spirit team in the higher dimensions. So we've got to take a multi-dimensional approach to what's happening here and understand, you know, what we're doing here when we interact with inorganic consciousness. So yeah, I think actually I've summed it up, and that's actually, you know, all I want to say on that. I know that, so I did kind of discuss, I said in a previous video, or maybe I said it on Instagram, that, like, you know, what was I saying? I was just like, I said something about not being scared of technology, because not fearing technology, because even, you know, a knife and fork is technology. That was borrowed from Montpasio. I think he said that in a recent podcast. Alex Collier was also saying in one of his recent seminars that all the benevolent, interdimensional races like the Arcturians, the Lyrans, they all use very, very advanced technology, so we shouldn't fear technology. So I was kind of grappling with this idea, and then I presented it to my mentor Emily Harris, who all told you repeatedly to go and follow, because she has very, very advanced codes. So I asked her about this. I said, don't all the benevolent races have really advanced technology? Should we really be so scared of AI? And she actually said, she made a video about it, and she answered it very succinctly. She said, in the higher dimensions, inorganic technology like what we have here doesn't exist. She says all the technology that they have is made from Christ light or plasma light. Now, I'm not a super advanced techie person, so I don't know how that works. Like, I don't know how you develop technology using Christ light or plasma light. We use Christ light and plasma light and different frequencies in quantum field work to help remove implants and inversions and help open up gift templates and help people kind of step into their multidimensional gifts and things like that. And it's very, very powerful. So I know how to do that, but I wouldn't know how to create technology using that. So maybe some of you techies, tech heads who understand, programming and source coding and all of that stuff that is just goes over my head, can kind of maybe talk more about that. I just thought I'd throw that out there for those people who are wondering about that. But yeah, I do welcome kind of nuanced and conflicting opinions on the subject, so I invite you to share those in the comments. Please be respectful to others. I've seen some people who are being extremely nasty and judgy to people who have been using Lensa app, which I think is just not really I don't think it's helpful. It's not nice, but I'm not telling everybody that they necessarily have to be nice. If they think that something is really, really problematic or causing great harm, I'm not telling you they have to be nice, but I just don't think it's helpful. But yes, also another announcement before I jump off is my Facebook group for women is now live. It's been live for a while. We've had some issues with the link. Okay, for some reason, Facebook is only allowing me to post a link that, the link is only active for 2 days. So if you try the link in the description box and it doesn't let you into the group, then just DM me. You can DM me on Instagram, or if we're friends on Facebook, or you follow my Facebook, you can also DM me. I think if we're not friends, I won't get the DM because it goes into some other random inbox, but you can just DM me on Instagram. I know how to check all the different inboxes and the message requests on there, and I will send you a unique link just for you to make sure that you can get into the Facebook group, because we've only got a few people in there right now, so it's not very active. So we need to I want to get about at least 20 to 30 ladies in there, and then I'm going to start doing some lives, and we're going to have some not in person, we're going to have some AI hosted hangouts and some Q&As, and I might even do some free activations and some group field work and grid work and things like that, which would be really nice. So it would be great to have you guys join us, ladies only, just because I want to keep it I want to make it like a feminine space, I want to talk about, the Divine Mother, about womb healing, about sacred sexuality, so I wanted to keep it really safe for the girls. So yeah, that's that. And if you're a guy and you wanna, there's my Telegram. You can join my Telegram. That's also quite a nice intimate space that we have where people can kind of connect with each other. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace out. Oh yeah, also if you want to book a session with me, then you can DM me on Instagram, and my current rates are in the description box below. Okay, peace out. One love, fam. See you in the next video.